Welcome back to another message recap. Let's recap Easter. Because that's what we had this past weekend.
Yep.
577 people here.
Fantastic.
Not all at the same time. Calm down. No, that's still great though.
Although, I mean, technically there are no restrictions on
That is true.
attendance restrictions on houses of worship. So
I don't think we can house 577 people all at once, though.
Oh, sure we can. Our building's 24,000 square feet.
Oh, I mean, in the entire building, yes. I meant the auditorium.
I don't mean to sound ignorant, but is that what they call them? Houses of worship?
According to the government.
According to the state.
We're a house of worship.
A house.
Because God lives
That's an
here.
interesting term, isn't it? House of worship.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Not
correct.
place.
Well, we know
of
God's
worship.
This is
presence
God's
in the
home.
walls.
Let's move on.
This is his home.
I'm going to get all fired up here. We shouldn't. Let's.
And
stay
that's what we
calm.
talked about on Easter, how God lives in these walls.
That is
only.
not what we talked about at all.
No.
What we talked about is the complete opposite of that.
Oh.
And getting rid of thoughts like that.
Yep.
And
Yep.
we did do a play on words yesterday, or you did in your message.
I
at
did.
least. Eggs in a basket.
Yep. My daughters went Easter egg hunting afterwards. Maybe think of the message, but yeah, putting all your eggs in one basket. It actually stemmed from something you said just kind of off the cuff about 3 or 4 months earlier. And I thought
you were going to mention that,
Easter.
except I used a swear word when I said it.
well, that's why I couldn't mention
Okay.
it. So, yeah. Here, let me give you the message recap. This will be very...
And then we can just BS for the next
And then we
20
can
minutes.
just do whatever we want after that. So here's the message. Everybody just pay attention right here. It's going to be quick. Don't miss it. Jesus, period.
Yep.
That pretty much.
There you go.
Pretty much. That is what it is.
End of story. Our ability to be right with God, have a relationship with him, go to heaven when we die, all that stuff, which I was thinking about it today on the drive in. I wish I would have spent more time on why we want to be right with God. I didn't really cover that. It's just kind of like, again, I was making a pretty big assumption yesterday. But anyway, the message recap is we are right with God through Jesus, faith in Jesus, period, end of story. That's it. That's the recap.
Yeah.
We talk about our message recap that we do is kind of an expansion of the message. This is a place where we can say things that we didn't have time to say in the actual message.
Yep.
So if you're doing that, I would say the only thing we have to expand on is that list you went over where you said if you're putting eggs in the Jesus basket and also I'm doing
anything
I'm doing good works every single day. I feel like we could just keep going down the list of that.
Yep.
For the entire recap.
Yep.
If you are putting your eggs in.
So we were talking about this earlier today, but if it's Jesus, period, nothing else, then what does that really mean? What things do we need to get out of our head that it's not?
Yeah. What doesn't it mean?
It means Jesus.
If it means
period.
this, then what can't it also mean at the
What
same
do
time?
I have to reject that I used to think?
Yep.
Yeah.
So if it started, what you're referring to is, I said something several months ago that what I said was, if Jesus doesn't get me to heaven, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
Well, screwed wasn't the word, but I got what you said.
I'm telling them.
Okay.
If Jesus doesn't get me to heaven, then I'm screwed. In other words, there is nothing I can do to help get to heaven. There is nothing I can do. There is nothing in my life that I can do to make myself right with God. It's either Jesus, everything, or nothing. That was the message. So what does that mean we have to reject, unlearn?
Yep.
Say, you know what? That is no longer true. Because every one of us, especially if you have a religious background, if you don't, you have no problem with this message. But if you have a religious background, you've been taught or you've heard or you've picked up along the way that good people go to heaven, bad people go to hell. You got to unlearn that.
Yep. That's false.
You got to reject that. That is not true. Everybody's bad. Establish that. Paul established that. Okay. Way before. Okay. The Bible to establish it. So this whole concept, good people go to heaven, bad people don't. You've got to get that out of your head.
That's a non-factor anymore.
No, it's done. You got to unlearn that, or the better I am, the more right with God I am. You've got to unlearn that. You've just got to get that out of you got to make like this morning we were talking about, a conscious effort, or you got to be very specific about that is no longer true. You got to work that it's no longer true. How many other things do we have to reject, what we kind of believe? There are so many things that, especially if a more liturgical church, if you grew up Catholic, you have to literally reject a lot of the things that you think, that you no longer have to go to a priest and ask for forgiveness, that you no longer have to pray a rosary. You no longer have to pray to certain saints. You no longer have to go to church on holy days. You no longer have to take sacraments. All of these things do not make you right with God. Period. End of story. And if they do, which is so clear, you got to watch this. If they do, then Jesus has nothing to do with you. Okay. So it's not Jesus and something. That's what it's just so clear about. It's not Jesus and something. It's either this or Jesus. It's not both. And if you're going to trust in this, then Jesus died for nothing, or Jesus is no advantage to you. Period. We can't mix these two. That
seems pretty simple.
Yeah. You're not going to stand in heaven next to Jesus' incredible sacrifice and say, yeah, we did. Who are we that, I kind of helped you out there, or look. His sacrifice is either complete or it's worthless. There's no middle ground. It's that is Christianity. That is the message of Jesus Christ, and that's what it's all about. If Jesus doesn't get me to heaven, I'm going to hell.
What would you say to the people that go, I get that, but I act this way just in case,
That's like saying, and there are people out there, Johnny.
I try to act good just in case.
Yeah. There are people out there who actually say, well, I'm going to believe in Jesus and Muhammad and Buddha. I'm just going to cover my bases.
I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket.
You're going to hell. Boom. Sorry.
Those are the same people.
You're going to hell.
Those are the same people, Johnny, that wear a mask while they're in the car alone. Just in case.
Just in case.
Just in case. You never know.
Wow. If you're going along the terms of just in case, there you go. That's the mindset.
Yeah.
Just in case. But
you never know.
But then people will, and we're not saying like it's good to live good.
Yeah, I did put that because I knew people would have like
and people have that kind of rebuttal. It's good to live good. It's good to want to be good. But it has nothing to do with your salvation. Yeah. So if you're being good because, well, just in case Jesus alone doesn't get me to heaven, then you're being good for the wrong reason.
Yep.
If you're trusting in your good to be right with God, you will not be right with God. Period.
Here's a concept. Spend time with God and watch your life change into being good. It just happens.
Pop quiz.
Okay.
2 reasons that we should, with all of our might, we should try very hard to be good. 2 reasons.
I always thought it was 3.
I know. I dropped the third one personally because the reward in heaven thing people don't care about. Okay. 2 reasons why we should obey and do godly things and live and follow what God says. 2 reasons.
Because it's good for your life.
It makes your life better. Absolutely. There is, hands down, doesn't matter what situation you are, it will be better. If you may never be like that person, but your life will always be better when you follow God's principles.
Number 1.
Number 2, it'll help you get into heaven.
There we go. That solves it. Those are the 2 reasons.
I don't know. Be a better witness.
Yes.
Yeah.
The reason that the Bible compels us, the Apostle Paul compels us to live a life worthy. Why? It's for the mission of reaching others. It has nothing to do with our holiness. It's for reaching others with the message.
It has nothing
to do. If
your
life is a wreck and you're a total jerk and nobody likes to be around you and you can't nobody wants to listen to what you have to say about Jesus.
Right.
We've said this before. It has nothing to do with your salvation.
Yep.
It has everything to do with somebody else's.
Yep.
So yeah, there you go. Jesus period. That's the recap.
Jesus period. And I have had this conversation with people and the rebuttal is, Oh, so I can just sin whenever I want to. Well, technically speaking, yes.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have to do with your salvation.
And if you find that offensive, just read Romans 1 through 5, because that's basically that.
However,
yes, you can.
However, what we talk about a lot is spend time with God.
Yep.
Spend time with God. Spend time with God.
Yep.
And watch your heart
Yeah.
and your life change.
Absolutely.
Listen, I just loved, only because you brought it up, but I love when Paul says at the end of Romans chapter 5, you can read this later, the more we sin, the worse we are, the more of God's forgiveness we get.
And then he follows up with that to your response. Yeah, you can sin all you want. That'd just be stupid.
Yeah.
Basically, that's the beginning of 6.
You can.
Yeah.
It would just be
I don't
dumb.
know why you'd want to.
Well, that's why we're sitting here and people will, the ears shut off. People hear one thing and they stop listening. So we're not sitting here saying, go sin all day long, go do whatever you want. You're still going to
that's
heaven.
just not wise.
That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is, don't think that you have to not sin to get into heaven.
Not sinning
Jesus,
don't make you right with God.
Period.
Yep.
You put your faith in Jesus. I mean, the way I look at it is like Jesus didn't die for just your past sins, past, present, and future. If it was just your past sins, any of us that were born after Jesus died, well, we're screwed because it's all after he died.
It's all future sins from his point.
So past, present, and future. It's Jesus, period.
Yeah.
All of your eggs in the Yeshua basket.
It's all breath.
Yahweh.
Yeshua.
Yahweh. Oh, Yahweh is the all breath one. Yahweh. You ever watching that video one time where they brought that up, that it's the breath of God, the name of Jesus? Yahweh. Okay, we're not going to go down that road.
We just make stuff up.
They do.
There's no consonants in there because it's the breath of God.
That's why we get into this problem. That's why we have to unlearn things, is because people make stuff up.
You do. And
If you grew up like me from birth, like
I also grew up from birth.
in a church.
I just kept growing.
Amazing. I'm saying in a church. Okay, in church.
Yep.
I feel like we have a harder time than
absolutely.
somebody who showed up this past weekend for the first time and never knew about God beforehand.
Yeah.
Because we have to unlearn things.
Yeah, that's definitely an advantage I've seen for me, because I was not raised in a Christian home. I was actually raised the opposite way, like the Bible thumpers are coming, and they were looked down upon.
Makes you easier. You have less to repent of.
I have less to reprogram from.
Yep. You just need to turn to
reprogramming. There you go. That's a good way of putting it. Need to reprogram ourselves.
So a great you asked for it would be, why do we hate religion so much? Is that a different...
We'll have to tune into a different video.
Yeah, maybe you have to watch a different video.
But you can watch this message. It was the Easter message. It's literally called Easter 2021, and that'll pop up in a second. We just literally told you everything that you're going to hear, but if for some reason you're watching the recap and you haven't watched the message yet,
watch that too.
Watch the message as well, and then watch it again next month.
It's sub 35 minutes.
And then the month after that. And maybe if you're feeling up for it, watch it again the month after that.
Just keep rewatching
Keep watching it. Jesus, period. All your eggs in that basket. But make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We'll be back next week starting a brand new series. Until then, adios.